What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Married at First Sight, Season 19, Episode 6, Home Sweet Home. So this is going to be very late, y'all. I wish that Married at First Sight would go back to Lifetime. I hate the fact that it's on Peacock and they're releasing so many episodes at once. I feel so behind. I feel like who's going to watch this review when all of y'all are probably have already watched all the episodes that were recently released. And I'm talking about something that happened in the past when everybody else is caught up to date. I just really hate it. I need them to get back on Lifetime. Anyway, let's start off with crazy Megan and Derek, y'all. What an episode with Megan. There's something wrong with Megan. There's something seriously wrong with Megan. Her reaction to the very mundane things is it's concerning. How she completely flies off the deep end and overreacts because her husband brings up something so simple as who's going to walk the dog, and she loses her mind. There's something wrong with Megan. It starts off with Derek telling us that, they've moved in together. By the way, when they first moved in together, he talked about how he wanted to use non toxic cleaning products instead of the more toxic ones. And I think she was okay with that. He even suggested using vinegar. And that's where she drew the line. She was like, nope, we're not going to use vinegar because it smells way too strong. I don't want my whole house smelling like vinegar. Understandable. So she's okay with using the non toxic cleaning products. So that's going to come up a little bit later. So Derek starts off by telling us how their very first night together, they ran into a couple of bumps in the road. Her dog, she has a dog named Zoe, a little Shih Tzu named Zoe that's moved in with them as well. And Megan is one of those pet owners where she puts her dog above everybody else. Her dog is her number one priority. That's her baby. That is her lifeline. Her dog is everything to her. So it seemed like when it comes to her dog, she tells him how it's going to be. She doesn't ask, even though they're going to be sharing a space together, trying to build a life together. And instead of her wanting to have conversations about certain things regarding Zoe, asking him what he's comfortable with, what he's not comfortable with, no, all of that is flew out the window. She tells him how it's going to be with Zoe, and either he gets on board or he gets off. Either he's going to accept it or he's not. And if you're going to accept Megan, you're going to have to accept Zoe and all the things that come along with that. For example, he told us that their very first night together, she told him that the dog will be sleeping in the bed with them. No compromise, no discussion, no negotiation. So the dog slept in the bed with them, and the dog barked all night, and the dog was sleeping mostly on his side of the bed. So he couldn't even get a good night's sleep. The next day, she tells him that he is going to walk the dog. Instead of asking or even volunteering to walk the dog with him, she told him that he will be walking the dog. So while he's out and about taking a walk, he tells us that he's got some things that he needs to get some type of clarity with her and her damn dog. So when he gets back to the apartment, you can tell the tension is so thick because when it came to the dog walking, I think they had an argument about it. He called it a disagreement, and it probably was a disagreement because I don't think Derek is the kind of person that argues. He just kind of accepts it and then he brings it up later to get some clarification. So when he comes back home, they have a discussion and he tells her, what did he start off by telling her? He told her that he thought that they were going to be walking the dog together, and he didn't understand why he had to be the one to walk her dog. And she got automatically defensive, and she says, well, if you don't want to walk the dog, you don't have to walk the dog ever again. Overreacting, putting 20 on 10. Why do we have to go from 0 to 100, Megan? Why can't we just talk about it? Why can't we have a discussion about it? So she gets upset about that. Derek tells her that I've compromised a lot when it comes to your dog. The dog sleeping in the bed with us, being ordered to walk the dog barking all night, me not being able to sleep. I think I've compromised quite a bit when it comes to Zoe. And then she gets even more defensive. And then she says, well, I've compromised for you too. And he asked her how. And she says, well, when it came to the non toxic cleaning products, I compromised with that. And I'm thinking to myself, how is that a compromise? You're compromising your bad health for good health. You'd rather be inhaling strong chemicals instead of using something that's better for your health, that's more environmentally friendly. You'd rather be using the more toxic ones. Now, to each his own. Do whatever the hell you want to do. Use whatever you want to use. I'm not even making a judgment call on what cleaning products are better than the other. I have no idea how that goes. But if this is something that's affecting him or that's important to him, it's great that you agreed to use a non-toxic cleaning products, but y'all are having a discussion about it. He even wanted to go as far as to use vinegar. You said no, and he let it go. So why can't y'all have a discussion about the damn dog as well? Like, I didn't understand. So she goes, well, I've compromised for you too because I've agreed to use the non-toxic cleaning products. And she was definitely reaching when she said that, when she brought that up. That was definitely a reach. So she gets upset, she storms off, and he's left sitting on the couch by himself. Then she comes out of the bathroom and she goes, oh, and another thing, I've compromised about the toilet seat because I didn't complain about you leaving the toilet seat up. I've compromised on that too. So at some point, she tells him that instead of him holding on to whatever's bothering her, she wants him to tell her in the moment if something is bothering her. Well, in the moment, if the toilet seat being up bothered you, why didn't you bring that up to him in the moment as well? Why did you hold that in and then try to use it to as a weapon in this argument that y'all are having? And the whole entire time, Derek was cool, calm, and collected. She was the one that was acting crazy and psychotic and yelling and screaming and just completely overreacting. She even tells us that she felt ambushed when he brought up the whole situation with Zoe. She felt ambushed. Just like in Panama, she said that she felt ambushed when he brought up the fact that when they're talking, she doesn't ask him enough questions about him to try to get to know him better. She says she felt ambushed and attacked by that. Anyways, later on, Pastor Cal shows up and they talk about the whole dog situation. And Megan said that sometimes he's aloof. Derek seems aloof when it comes to how he relates to Zoe, her dog. He seems aloof. And Derek said, well, I'll try to work on that. That's all he said. I will try to work on that. Well, then Megan then says, oh, like, why are you being so combative? And I think Derek looked at Pastor Cal, and Pastor Cal was like, yeah, I can see how she felt like you were being combative. Your tone was fine, but your body language, your whole demeanor automatically changed. And yeah, we can tell that you were getting kind of combative. I didn't think the man was being combative at all. He probably, if his demeanor changed, he probably was like, am I in the Twilight Zone? Is this woman saying that I'm being aloof with her dog? I mean, did Zoe tell you this? Like, how do you know that Zoe feels like, how do you know this is even bothering Zoe? Maybe Zoe doesn't even care. So I didn't think that he was being combative. I didn't think that his body demeanor was aggressive in any way. I think that he was just probably a little bit shocked that she would talk about how he's interacting with the dog as if the dog was a person, as if the dog was picking up on his aloofness and it was affecting Zoe's day to day life or something. So I was totally confused why Pastor Cal sided with Megan when it came to that. In my opinion, I felt like Pastor Cal took her side unnecessarily. And I don't think that they talked about the root of their issues. The root of their issues is Megan and how Megan overreacts to certain things and how she just flies off the handle. Derek is a very calm person, and I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know what the hell their future looks like when you have someone who's very calm and rational and someone else who's like red hot and they're ready to fly off and they're ready to fight at the drop of a dime and they're storming out of the room and they're yelling across the room. I don't know how this is going to work out. This is how Megan is. This isn't her DNA to be like this. I don't know what happened to Megan, why she's this way, but I don't think she's going to change. She's 38 years old. She's damn near 40. I don't see her changing her whole entire personality. I think this is how she is. Now, she is an attractive woman. She's an accomplished woman. And then sometimes, it's kind of understandable why maybe she struggled with relationships when, you see behavior like this. Now, Derek tries to like give her the benefit of the doubt by saying that, well, these are just growing pains for us, getting to know each other while we're living together, and that she's not used to being with anybody else or she's not used to living with someone else. That's not an excuse, Derek. Don't give her excuses. If you try to give her excuses and try to justify her bad behavior, you're going to be stuck with this for the rest of your life if you do decide to stay married to her, because she's not going to change. She's not going to change. So I don't know. Maybe she needs a guy like Derek to calm her down. Hopefully, I have no idea. But their personalities are hot and cold, and I don't know how that's going to work out. Let's move on to Will and Britney. So when Will and Brittany move in together, it seems like everything went well. The last time that we saw them in Panama, it was not good at all. Once again, their intimacy came up. Once again, they were not seeing eye to eye on that. Brittany was feeling rejected because when she initiated intimacy, not once again, I don't know who initiated the first time, but when she tried to initiate intimacy, he backed off. And it made her feel rejected, and it conjured up all of the negative feelings that she felt in past relationships when the same thing happened to her in the past. Where once she was intimate with the man, it seemed like the relationship completely cooled off and the guys would back off. So all of that was coming up again. And so it didn't look like it ended on a good note. But when they arrived in Austin, we find out that their last night in Panama, they actually had a discussion about it, which I'm not sure why we didn't see more of before they left Panama, but they had another conversation about it. And Will had reassured her that it's not about him rejecting her. He said that he is very attracted to her. And he said that, let me get this right. He said that he is attracted to her. He's not rejecting her. And Brittany said that what she heard when he told her that they needed to, put the intimacy on the back burner, what she heard wasn't exactly what he was saying. Like she was filtering his words through her own past experiences. Like she was hearing what past men have told her and not really hearing what Will was telling her. I'm thinking that's what she was saying. So he told her that he does want her, he does want this marriage with her, and and they ended on a good note before they left Panama. They ended on a good note. And she also mentioned how Will has been very affectionate with her. So she's reassured that he does feel an attraction for her. Okay, fine. So well, they're in Austin. They have to go to her home for her to get her stuff. So the thing about Brittany and her house is that she's very, very proud of her house because she bought her very first home at a young age. She feels like, she feels accomplished. This was a goal of hers that she was able to accomplish. She worked really hard to get this home. So she was very excited to show this house off to Will. And also, another thing to mention is that Will is the very first man that she brought into this home. So she takes him to the house, she gives him a tour, and the house is a very beautiful home. And Will has no reaction at all whatsoever. No reaction, no commentary, nothing, nada. And she's picking up on this. And you can tell that she's beginning to feel a certain kind of way. You can tell that Brittany's demeanor is beginning to change a little bit because he's not giving her any kind of feedback at all. He's not saying anything positive. He's not saying anything negative. He's not asking any questions. He's not showing any kind of interest at all. In fact, Will looked bored out of his mind. So a couple of people have mentioned in my comments that they think that Will might be on the spectrum. And one of the characteristics that I've heard with being on the spectrum is that you can't pick up on social norms. And so in any other situation, a person would have been like, oh, wow, this is a beautiful home, or how long did it take you to get it? When did you buy it? What was that whole process like? Buying your first home in your 20s or whatever would have shown some type of interest in this because you can tell that it's important to her and that she's excited about it. But he did none of that. So maybe he could be on the spectrum. I don't know. Or maybe he's one of those people that's like, you know what? I'm not going to fake the funk. If I'm not interested, I'm not interested. I don't care how you take it. I really don't know what's going on with Will. So they start packing up her stuff, and he's remarking on how she's got a lot of clothes. And he's kind of doing it from like a critical standpoint, like, damn, you got a lot of clothes and you're bringing all this stuff with you to our new apartment. And once again, Brittany feels some kind of way, but then she's very passive aggressive about it. Like she'll mumble under her breath, she'll change her whole entire attitude. And he picks up on this. He can tell that she's changed a little bit, but he doesn't say anything either. He doesn't ask her did he ask her what's wrong? I don't think he even asked her what's wrong. He kind of like, when he saw that her demeanor had changed, he kind of like uh made a joke about it, and he gave her a hug and a kiss to kind of smooth things over, like, oh, I'm just joking. I'm just kidding around. And she didn't take it as a joke, but she didn't tell him that. She just mumbled under her breath. She should have said, I don't think it was a joke. I feel like you're criticizing me because I've accomplished or I've amassed a lot of stuff and I have my own home. I feel like you're being judgmental or critical or whatever. She said nothing. But then again, he also didn't say anything. He could have been like, I've seen that you changed. Like, what's wrong? Did I say something? Did I do something? Let's talk about it. Neither one of them said anything. So she talks to the camera, she talks to us, and she tells us how, she's feeling really crappy. She even starts crying. I'm like, Britt, girl, why are you crying? I understand you feel hurt about it, but it's not like that big of a deal for you to start breaking. But maybe it is. I can't judge how she reacts to his behavior. So she starts to cry, and she said that she feels really crappy because she was really excited about her house. And she said that she felt like he was judging her. And like I said, Will was confused on why uh, she had changed, but she didn't want to talk about it. She didn't say anything about it. And so Britney seems like the kind of person that thinks that, well, if my attitude has changed, if I'm acting differently, the other person should know that and they should ask me what's wrong. That's how she comes. Like, she communicates with her body language, and she wants him to pick up on that, and she wants him to ask her, "What's wrong, Brittany? What did I?" But he didn't, and that made her even more upset that he was either ignoring her body language or not picking up on her body language. That made her even more upset. So their communication sucks. So later on, they meet with Pastor Cal, and they first talk about the house situation. And I think she mentioned how she felt when he showed no interest in her house. And he responds with, well, what did you want me to say? What did you want me to do when we came to your house? Pastor Cal stopped him and said, nope, that's not the proper response. What needs to happen, Will, is that because you could tell this was important to her to show you her home, to bring you into her home, you should have showed that you cared as well. That you should have showed that you cared because it was important to her. Whether you like the house, you don't like the house, whether you're impressed that she bought a home at a young age or you're not impressed by that at all, that means nothing to you. Whatever the situation is, because you knew that she was excited, that she was proud, you should have given her some type of input. And Pastor Cal specifically said, care for her the way that she wants to be cared for, not the way that you're comfortable caring for her. Care for her the way she wants to be cared for. And she wanted him to be just as impressed as she was. She wanted him to pick up on how excited she was about this. And he did none of that. Then they talk about the intimacy issue. And so I'm still lost. Okay, if anybody can break it down to me as if I'm a child, please break it down to me on what the issue is between these two people. The only thing that I'm able to gather is that they did it the first time. They both regretted it. She tried to attempt to do it the second time. He told her no. That's as much as I know. Now, why they both regretted the first time, I don't know. I don't know if they regretted the first time simply because they felt like they were going too fast, or if they regretted the first time because they were irresponsible with it, like without using any type of protection. Or did something happen during intimacy that made both of them feel some kind of way, or at least one of them feel some kind of way about it? Like, I don't know what happened that first time they did it to make such a huge impact in their relationship so early on. So Brittany talks about how she felt rejected when she initiated intimacy the second time, and he told her, no, let's hold off on that. And he thought he was doing a good thing by, like, not necessarily creating a boundary, but by basically creating a boundary with that. Like, yeah, he felt like he was doing the right thing by letting her know, like, we shouldn't do that again. It's not a good idea for us to try that again, because he thought he was respecting her, evidently because she felt some kind of way after the first time, that he thought that he was showing her respect by not pursuing intimacy again. Pastor Cal said, what you should have done, instead of distancing yourself or putting up a wall with that, what you should have done was gotten closer to her and reassured her that it had nothing to do with you not being attracted or you not wanting to be in this. and which I thought he did. Okay, from the little clip that they showed us of their last night in Panama when they talked about it again, I thought he did because he did tell her, it doesn't mean that I'm not attracted to you. He did tell her that. And they kissed and they hugged. So Pastor Cal asked him, do you want her? And he looked at her and he said, yes. And then Pastor Cal noted, Brittany, did you see that? When he said he wanted you, he looked right at you and said he wanted you. And Pastor Cal asked her, do you want him? And she said, yes. Then they got closer on the couch and he put his arms around her and everything. And it looked like it ended on a good note. But whatever their issue is with intimacy, it seems like, oh, no, I take that back. Because after Pastor Cal left, it seemed as if they were headed to the bedroom to take care of business. That's what it seemed like to me. So hopefully that whole intimacy issue has been resolved. Let's talk about Rhonda and Pat. Okay, so they're on the way to Rhonda's house to pack up her stuff. Rhonda was also very proud of her house. She thinks that her house is a clear representation of her personality. Like I said, people like Rhonda, I have seen a lot of women like her. Older women who think that they're young at heart and that they're different from other women their age because other women their age are just, baking pies, sitting in the rocking chair, knitting, watching the stories, and she wants to prove to the world that she is not that. She is not your typical grandmother. She's not your stereotypical 60-something-year-old woman. She's fun. She's energetic. She's eclectic. She's this, she's that. She's unique, all of that stuff. And so her house, she couldn't wait to show off her house because her house is also like her personality. Very different, very unique, very interesting, what have you. Pat tells us that he's going to be on his best behavior. He's going to be a good little boy. He's going to allow Rhonda to talk about herself as much as she wants, and he's not going to turn the conversation back on him. While they're at her house, there not much really happened other than Rhonda once again expressing her concerns about cohabitating. And she's been talking about this since Panama. And I'm like, Rhonda, we get it. You're nervous. You're apprehensive about living with a man because you haven't lived with a man in 20 years. We understand. So I don't know why she keeps bringing it up. Later on, they meet with Dr. Pia, and everything went left with that meeting. Before Dr. Pia showed up, they were sitting on the couch waiting for Dr. Pia, and she happened to mention to Pat about this hiking group that I guess they could possibly join or something that they could do. I don't know. I couldn't really understand. It seemed like she was telling him there's a hiking group in Austin, and she's bringing it up, I guess, for him to join or for him to have something to do in Austin or something like that. So he says, well, I have a buddy of mine that's part of a hiking group, and I'll figure out, who you're talking about. I'll figure out who they are and I'll get their contact information or something like that. I don't really know. I wasn't really paying attention because I didn't think it was that important of a conversation. So then Rhonda all of a sudden gets upset. You can tell from the look on her face. She gets this look on her face like, here we go again with this man. But she doesn't say anything. Dr. Pia shows up, and I don't really remember how the conversation started, but at some point in the conversation with Dr. Pia, oh, they did talk about how Pat doesn't really ask her a lot of questions, and he's always talking about himself. And then I think she brought up how, when she brought up the whole hiking group thing, he didn't respond the way she wanted him to respond. She wanted him to say, oh, how interesting. How did you know about this hiking group? Or how often do they meet up? When can I join? Or something like that. She wanted him to show more interest instead of him automatically talking about his buddy that does the same thing. Basically, I guess, turning the conversation back on himself, not really showing much interest in what she said. I don't really know. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I didn't understand why she was so upset about that conversation. So then at some point, Dr. Pia asked Pat, is there anything about Rhonda that bothers you? And he was like, yes, but I don't really want to bring it up because I'm afraid of how she's going to react. So he was basically saying, I don't talk about things that bother me that she does because I'm afraid of her reaction, because she's got this really big personality. And so I'm really afraid of how she's going to react. And then Rhonda was like, here we go again. Every man I've ever been with has a problem with my personality. At first, they love how boisterous I am. They love how big my personality is. They love all the energy I have. But then they use that same those same characteristics that they love so much about me, they turn it against me. All of a sudden, oh, I'm too scared to tell Rhonda this. I'm too intimidated to tell Rhonda because her personality is so big. And I just don't know what to do. Y'all, I didn't get it. I didn't understand. Dr. Pia was trying to like calm her down, trying to smooth over the situation, but she was like, no, now I don't feel safe anymore. I feel unsafe right now. So it ended really, really bad. I guess what she was trying to say is they love it when things are going well, they're attracted to my big personality, but then when there's a problem, all of a sudden my big personality is too scary for them. And this is who she is, and she can't change who she is. So I don't know what Rhonda and Pat are going to do, but sometimes I feel like Rhonda is a little bit too critical of Pat. Pat can be annoying when he always wants to talk about himself, and I think we've all met someone that always wants to talk about themselves all the time. You could be talking about the weather and they'll somehow turn it back to about them, something about them. So that's annoying as hell. That's a very, very horrible characteristic to have, personality trait to have. But I think that Rhonda sometimes is a little bit too critical of Pat. She like analyzes everything he says and how he says it, and then wants to talk about it and wants to bring it up to him. And it's like she's a teacher or a parent or something. I don't know how I don't know how they're going to work this out, but he needs to show more interest in her, and then she needs to be less critical of him. I don't know. Moving on to Josh and Jalen. So Jalen is a spin instructor, and Jalen loves spinning. She loves spinning. It is her passion next to real estate. She loves it so much. So she brings Josh to one of her classes. She introduces him to her class, which was really cute. And he even stayed for the class. And it just about killed him, but he survived. So after the class, they're talking, and he's talking about how impressed he was with how she conducted her class. He was like, wow, you have so much passion for it. You have so much enthusiasm for it. You know, you really get people motivated. And it was really fun. He said, I really enjoyed myself. And so she loved how much he loved her class and how much he loved how she conducted her class and how impressed he was with her. She loved that. He was complimenting her like left and right, just showering her with compliments. And she was really soaking it in. And it was a really cute scene. And this is how Will should have reacted to Britney and her house. Josh seeing how much she loves spinning. I don't know if that's how you say it. How much she loves her spin class, and him getting, like caught up in that enthusiasm and him being impressed with her because he loves to see her so happy doing her class. It made him happy. That's how Will should have reacted. Seeing how proud Brittany was with her home, he should have shown some type of enthusiasm for that as well. So, yeah, Will needs to take some notes from Josh and Chad. Let's talk about Chad and Belinda. So Chad takes Belinda to go do archery because Chad loves archery. It's one of his favorite hobbies and pastimes. And so he brought her along because it's something that he enjoys to do and he wants to share it with Belinda. Now, Belinda took it like a sport. She says she's not really outdoorsy. It's not really her thing, but she was willing to give it a try, which she did. And she talked about how she enjoyed it. She was also kind of good at it because all of her arrows landed within the target. Not bullseye, but at least it landed on the paper. So she was pretty good at it for her first time doing it. And they had a great time because they were doing something that he enjoyed, that she was willing to give it a try. And it ended up being a really fun experience for both of them. Also, Will, take notes from Belinda. It doesn't matter that she doesn't like archery. It's not her thing. She showed enthusiasm for it because he loved it so much. And Chad even said, because she showed so much enthusiasm for something that I love, I'm going to be there and show just as much interest and enthusiasm for something that she enjoys to do. I can't wait to do something that she really enjoys doing. So he wants to return the favor to her. And that's how it should be. So Belinda and Chad did really good. Josh and Jalen did really good. I don't know if it's coincidental that the mother-daughter duo are having really great experiences with their husbands. I don't know. But yeah, Josh and Jalen, Belinda and Chad did great. No complaints there. We just got to work on Megan, Will, and Rhonda. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.